There we go. All right, all right, all right. There he is, Marcel.
Here we in here.
How you doing? You doing all right?
Living, man. Living, man. About to take my mom to go see the new Black Panther tonight. And you know,
Wakanda.
that's the one. A little mother son bonding time since she lives
Nice.
out here. Gotta take advantage of it while you got it.
Nice. Excellent. Excellent. Did you send flowers to Josh Allen?
Who?
Josh Allen, your boy. He's got an elbow injury. He's in the hospital. Did you send him some flowers?
Never heard of him. Is he good?
So what do you know, bro? What do you know? Ian says it's a slight tear in the.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what a sprain is. A sprain is a slight tear. So like, it's not. Depending on your terminology, you can make it sound better or worse. I don't think he plays this week. He's the kind of guy that doesn't need practice in order to play. But why would you? Why would you risk it? I don't think the Vikings are particularly good. I think that all this talk of all this talk to the Dolphins fans about having to play backup quarterback. I think let's see it. Let's see how easy it is to win with the backup. Because you're not going to risk Josh Allen's long-term health, not with that big-time extension kicking in. Maybe if it was not his non-throwing elbow, that's one thing. But it doesn't seem like it's worth the risk here in Week 10.
And the way I look at it, Marcel, and covering baseball over the years, those guys that have those slight tears in the UCL, it usually ends up becoming a complete tear if you keep pitching. And so I'm wondering how he's going to have to manage that all year long. And if I'm the Bills, okay, I got to worry about, if he can completely tear this shit, then he's out for the rest of this season and most of next year, which will then ruin this year and next year. So they've got to be very careful in how they walk this fine line, because if it's a slight tear, you might be better off just shelving his ass for several weeks or for the rest of the year to make sure it heals for next year. But if you run a risk, and I know they're keeping everybody in the dark because of preparation, all that kind of stuff, and they're still trying to decide. But I got to tell you, those partial tears in a UCL, that is some dangerous stuff if you've seen enough pictures over the years with that thing.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think the Bills can sit him for a few weeks and still expect to make the playoffs. Not with the AFC how it's looking. I think if you sit him, your season's canned. Yeah, that's done. It's still a wrap. They still got to play the Bengals. They still got to play the Jets and the Dolphins again. They're down a game to both those teams. I think you said Josh Allen, goodbye to this season. And Super Bowl windows are only open for so long, so I understand where the urgency is here. But that's it's a major decision, especially with the workload that he has had this year, like the amount they're relying on him to throw the ball. So I think they go ahead and sit him this week, maybe even sit him next week just to see. I think they've already had their bye, which is unfortunate for them, but the AFC is too tight to expect Case Keenum to bring you to victory, not with how injury depleted this roster has been.
Yeah, no, but hey, listen, Case Keenum will be able to do it, right? Because that's what they say about Tua. It's the offense, it's the receivers, and you put another guy in there and he'll have the same success as Tua. That's what we've got some people, thinking, so maybe in the Bills land, it's the same thing. You put somebody else in there and they'll be just like Josh Allen, because, everyone can play just like Josh Allen.
Yeah, no, that's what's that old Tom Moore quote for why they didn't practice, why they didn't give anybody else starter reps except Peyton Manning? Because if 18 goes down, we're effed, and we don't practice effed.
Right, exactly.
17 goes down. That was the whole reason in Week 3 that I wasn't willing to take into account all the injuries the Bills had on defense. I don't care, because Josh Allen is playing and Stephon Diggs is playing. That's really all they need to be competitive. And they were in position to still win the damn game because he's that good.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Without him, yeah, man, look, you can be as deep as you want. No Josh Allen, I'm not scared of the Bills at all.
Chase, one of our listeners there says, I was a pitcher in college. Even the most minor UCL injury will become a tear if you keep throwing. It requires Tommy John. UCL sprain is no throwing for 3 months minimum, the Bills are playing with fire. Well, maybe the Bills aren't playing with fire. Maybe the Bills are just playing a game right now with everybody else. They're getting their second and third opinions and all that, and they kind of know what's going on, but it's to their benefit to still keep the other teams they're about to face in the dark until they have to make the brutal decision. But I agree with you because my experience covering baseball for many years, those UCL tears, bro, they become Tommy John almost every time. And if he's going to keep playing and throwing out there, then go ahead. And by the way, Marcel, the weather during the next couple of months does not benefit those kind of injuries, my friend.
They don't have a run game either to take something off his plate unless they want to turn him into Jalen Hurts or Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson. So, yeah, all of these are trending in a bad direction for Buffalo right now. It sucks for them, sucks for that team and that franchise. But, look, man, that's football, right? People get hurt.
Oh, yeah.
It's unfortunate.
I'm not feeling bad for them.
You're gonna get one, right? Like if you have a star quarterback, you're gonna get one, right? Like there's gonna be a year. Tom Brady tore his ACL. Drew Brees had whatever it is, I think with his shoulder. Peyton Manning had his neck. Like somebody, your star is not going to be 100% perfectly healthy every single year. You're probably gonna miss one season. They're probably gonna miss at least one season. That's just playing the odds. They're getting it out the way early, I guess. Like this is just trying to see the bright side, I guess. But it is something that you don't really want to mess around with. But it's an opportune time, I'll tell you what, for the rest of these teams in the AFC East. Because, the King's bleeding. Xerxes is bleeding right now. It's time to attack.
Yep, I'm with you there. All right. Overall, injury-wise, pretty good, right, for the Dolphins going in this week?
Pretty healthy. Ron Armstead back in practice, but I think that's he's one of the guys that I don't know how worth it is to mention him every week. His new normal is he might practice once, he might not practice at all, but he's going to be ready on Sunday.
That's an improvement, Marcel. That's a freaking improvement, Marcel. He wasn't practicing at all. So the fact that he's practicing once, that his toes allowing him to practice once a week, that's huge, dude. I'm just
saying. Look what happened. Look what that a little week off will do. Plus, they got their bye coming up. He's going to be off his feet for a little while. I expect that they're in a good position health-wise, all things considered. In terms of guys that can reasonably come back. Obviously, losing Needham, losing Brandon Jones sucks. But, for the guys like Xavier Howard, like Austin Jackson, like Teron Armstead, even Jalen Waddle has been banged up in and out of the week or throughout the week. They're in a good position with those guys. Byron Jones, man, I'm telling you, we floated the idea, I think, last week, right? Or after the game in Chicago. I don't know if he's playing, man. I don't know if he's playing. Like, I think if he does, maybe you get him back that late stretch at the end of December and try to ramp him up for the playoffs. And that'll be a boon for you. But until that window is even activated, cancel out the current week, the following week, and the week after. He's not playing any of them. He's going to need at least 2 weeks, maybe even 3 to ramp up and be ready for game day. So until that window is open, you can count on him being, out at least another 3 weeks. And I went to Spotrac today just to run the numbers real quick, just to see what it would be before June 1st. Before June 1st, if they cut him, it's a $14 million dead cap hit. It's a lot. It sounds like a lot. Saves you $4 million in 2023, though, and then you're off the books. You're off the books, period. Wipe your hands clean. After June 1st, if you let him go, it's a $4 million dead cap hit in 2023. You save $14 million in 2023, but it's a $10 million hit in 2024.
Right.
So, it's pick your poison here. You want to bite that bullet now and get it done and over with, or you want to wait it out and have that $10 million hit in 2024. And there's a lot of guys you're going to need to play, including numero uno.
That will be the following year. So what you do is you cut them this offseason to take the $14 million hit because you do have the cap space to actually take the hit this year. So you might as well take up that space, get rid of it, because moving forward, like you said, you're going to need that cap space for other people. Wilkins is actually the guy you got to pay this offseason. That's the guy you've got to give.
You're gonna have to pay Wilkins. You got to pay. You got to pay Wilkins. You got to pay damn Sealer. You're gonna have to pay Van Ginkel if you want to keep him around. Pay Van Ginkel.
You could probably tag Van Ginkel for a year. You can probably tag him for a year and put it off.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for Van Ginkel, who I think is good and is worth. He's worth the payment. He's worth getting paid. But what's that franchise tag gonna be? 10 plus?
I don't know.
Cool with 10 plus for Van Ginkel?
I'm not cool with 10 plus, but I don't think his tag will require that much. I think it'll be less than that because he's a 5th rounder. He doesn't have enough stats on it that it's that big of a deal. So what is that transition tag or something? The lower tag. I think it's something you might be able to get away with him, and still protect it with a pick. Overall, I think you'll be able to do that with him. But yeah, you're right. You got people to pay.
It's coming, man. Like I just said, championship windows, Super Bowl windows, they're very small because eventually, if you have a team full of good players, those good players want to get paid.
Yeah, but you'll also be opening up all kinds of cap space too at the same time next year because Gesicki's gone, Teddy's gone. That's $17.5 million actually between those two guys, and there'll be other guys that you're going to move on from. So there's going to be a lot of cap space because Skyler next year takes up no cap space as your back quarterback. That's
you get Jones off the book. If you get Jones off the books, you manage to move on from him.
Right.
Then add another 4. That's $20 million right there between 3 players.
Right.
They've got draft picks. They obviously, they don't have that first rounder anymore. They still have a second, and they still have 2/3. Ideally, you're finding 3 guys. At least one of them is going to have to be an instant impact kind of guy, like a Javon Holland type. Not saying they need a superstar, but they need a guy who they'll be able to slot in right away and start playing.
And by the way, they gained a little space, I would imagine, my brother. I'm not exactly sure what Jeff Wilson makes, but I'm sure it's a lot less than what Chase was going to get paid last year.
It is less than Chase. But you're going to have to make a decision on because he's running the ball. Like, he ran the ball really well. He's already making waves in the locker room, positive waves in the locker room. Guys like him, coaching staff likes and trusts him. He's young, man. Like, I just wouldn't be shocked to see him come back, especially he's young and he's going to be cheap. And that seems like that's the mantra for the Kyle Shanahan running back valuation chart, right? Are you young? Are you productive? Are you cheap? Ding, ding, ding for Jeff Wilson. Bring him back for the low. Obviously deserves every dollar he's going to get, but like, we're not going to sit here and pretend that, he's going to make Chase Edmonds money. That's $7 million a year, $6 million a year type of money. You might be able to give him 2. So I'd say bring Jeff Wilson back, but it's a lot of decisions that, again, like, we got to get through this season first. We are bringing up hypotheticals when we don't have the entire formula yet. We don't have all the variables. We don't have all the letters and all the parts of the equation yet. We can't come up with a solution until the rest of it is filled out. But there are some decisions to make.
Yeah, I'm with you there. There's no doubt. Your thoughts on this game against the Browns this week? Are you feeling the way Coach McDaniel's feeling about him?
Look, what's making me, I guess, a little bit nervous about, if I'm a Dolphins fan, what makes me a little bit nervous are teams who can control the ball. And that's why Chicago made me a little bit more nervous than Detroit did, because Detroit's not equipped to hang on to the ball if they go up early. Chicago, as you clearly saw, could dominate possession because Justin Fields is just going to run circles around the defense. I'm not saying Jacoby Brissett is going to do that, but 24 will. Nick Chubb absolutely can. They got another guy, Kareem Hunt, everybody's pretty familiar with, who can spell Chubb and keep that time of possession skewed in Cleveland's favor. So, if Miami doesn't start fast, then that, when I say start fast, I mean the damn defense doesn't start fast. It's going to be it might be a long game. It might be a tough game. I think if the defense can kind of nut up and get a couple stops early, allow that offense to score, I will, because his offense has basically not been stopped over the past 2 weeks. If they're able to build an early lead and force Jacoby Brissett to throw the ball, I think we're all really familiar with what it looks like when Jacoby Brissett is forced to throw. So take that run game away from Cleveland, and let's go see 2021 2022 Jacoby Brissett play some football.
Well, you know what I do like about this game? Miami's been really good against the run. I'm going into the contest last week, but you're not facing Justin Fields anymore. You're not facing a quarterback that can actually make you look absolutely silly. So I'm actually expecting, even though Chubb is awesome and their running game is what the best in the NFL the last 3 years, including this season, they're probably the best. I'm still expecting them to do a much better job this week against a typical running back than a absolute freak in Justin Fields that, you know, it's like there's these group of Dolphin fans that I don't understand. They're not like willing to give somebody else credit. You know what I mean? And that's what you had to do this past week. You got to just tip your hat to Justin Fields. The guy's a superior athlete, man. He's just awesome.
The guy can play ball. And so right now the Bears and the Ravens are 1 and 2 respectively in rushing yards per game in the NFL. Obviously, the Dolphins gave up quite a few yards to both teams, but when you take out, let's look at the Ravens game. 155 rushing yards Baltimore had. 119 of them were from Lamar Jackson. Justice Hill, 16 yards on 3 carries with a long of 13. So one carry went 13 yards, the other went 2, the other went 1. Kenyon Drake, 6 attempts, 8 yards. Patrick Ricard, 1 for 5. Like they're not doing anything to actual ball carriers. They're just getting beat off. They're getting beat off scrambles. And even still, you go to Chicago, 252 rushing yards. Yeah, that makes you throw up in your mouth a little bit. But 178 of them were Justin Fields. David Montgomery, 14 carries, 36 yards. Khalil Herbert, 7 carries, 23 yards. You're going to take that kind of production from a team's actual ball carriers. Like, I think that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay as long as you don't have a freak athlete scrambling around behind the line of scrimmage. And it's hard to prepare for that. You have to have somebody, you have to basically run that scramble drill all practice long. I'm not sure whether or not that's what Miami did. If they had somebody playing the Justin Fields role, like you often see teams play the Lamar Jackson role leading up to Ravens week. But it is not easy to prepare for guys like that because most of the production is not by design. And granted, Nick Chubb is going to be, I think he'll probably be the best running back they faced all year, just off the top of my head. Running through the schedule, besides Joe Mixon, but Joe Mixon didn't do a whole lot. He'll be the best running back they play all year. So it's a different kind of beast here. And, he's a guy who can easily crack the 120, 130 mark. But, they do how they've performed against the run, quarterbacks notwithstanding, has inspired a little bit of confidence coming into this game.
All right. So Marcel Louis-Jacques, by the way, ESPN joining us here on our myedgedrink.com Miami Dolphins report. And remember, you can order the finest energy drink on the planet, Edge Energy Drink. Go to myedgedrink.com. Look at the new cover. That thing looks awesome. And it is delicious, smooth, and it has zero aftertaste. I tell you this all the time. You can't get it in a store. You got to go myedgedrink.com. You'll get it delivered right to your home, right to your office. Use our code BIG-O. You will get 10% off. And after that, you're going to thank me because you're going to go, wow, this is an amazing energy drink. It really has zero aftertaste. It really is delicious, smooth, only 78 calories. myedgedrink.com. All right. So you know about this kid. I know about this kid. We watched him all the way back in training camp. He started injured, came off the injured list, and then all of a sudden, some kid out of Texas A&M Commerce has now into the national prominence this week, put out their rookie power rankings entering week 10. Sauce Gardner, 1. Garrett Wilson, 2. Tariq Woolen, 3. Drake London, 4. Chris Olave, 5. Number 6, rookie overall. Not a first rounder, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 7 rounds. No. Undrafted Division II, Kader Kohou, getting love from the national media and CBS, dude. Now, what does it mean for Kader? And what does it mean for guys like Chris Greer and obviously Josh Boyer, who, was allowed to go out and discover him and do his thing. I mean, this is a great story all around, dude.
Yeah, man, and that's why we're even having these conversations about Byron Jones to begin with. That's why these conversations are serious. We're not just this isn't just emotion and reactive. Like, it's a serious conversation because you got a guy who, again, cheap, young, productive. It's the holy trinity of how to lose your job in the NFL. If somebody below you is cheap, young, and productive, I'm sorry, bro, you missed time for whatever reason, you are up for elimination. It's happened before, it'll happen again. He's good in coverage, don't get me wrong. But what I really can appreciate about this guy is his willingness to tackle. He is not scared to tackle.
You saw his body, right? You saw his body, right? I mean, he's not built like a Division II player. You know what I'm saying?
I'm in the Dolphins locker room. He's a big dude. He's a big dude for a cornerback. Like, very built dude for a cornerback, man. He does look like somebody who's not scared to lower his shoulder into somebody. We saw it last week. Bears ran a screen pass to, I'm honestly blanking on who exactly they ran it to, but it was early in the game, first drive even, I think. And he and Eric Rowe just run heads first or shoulders first and blow it the hell up, man. It's impressive. It's not the first time he's flashed that. He's been good since the summer. It's a hell of a find for Josh Boyer, which I know, Josh Boyer he's a popular scapegoat here, but he does deserve credit for finding Kohu there, although finding Kohu does not, it does not absolve you of any play calling woes or schematic woes, but he does deserve his flowers. He does deserve his credit.
He's done a good job, bro. He's done a good job, man.
Like, every now and then you can look at him and say, like, okay, why weren't they doing this? Why is this guy in at this point? Why is he not playing? But there's been a philosophical flip in the Dolphins defense. And this is why, I wasn't really ready to just say, not that I don't think the Dolphins could win a Super Bowl, but I wasn't willing to jump on that. Bradley Chubb, this is a Super Bowl or bust team now. They're all in now. That's not really how I saw it. How I saw it was again, a philosophical 180 for what this defense does. Historically, over the past few years, their strength is in the secondary. And coming into the year, if everybody's healthy with the Joneses, with Holland, with Howard, all you need is just a relentless pass rush. You need a pass rush that doesn't quit. You don't need superstars to get to the quarterback. You just need guys to go generate pressure and throw 50-50 balls up to a secondary full of ball hawks. Those ball hawks aren't there anymore. You're missing 3 of them. So now you're switching your philosophy to now your strength lies in your front 7. Now they have to go get pressure. Now they have to go bring down the quarterback. And so, that's where I think we judge Boyer more from here on out than the past 8-9 weeks, because it's a different Dolphins defense now. Up schematically, they're a different Dolphins defense. So I am interested to see how he draws things up. There's a specific formation they use where Jalen Phillips puts his hand in the dirt and Bradley Chubb lines up right alongside him, right outside of him. And I love that. I love throwing all that firepower out one side. I want to see that more often. We saw it a couple times there against Chicago. I thought actually Jalen Phillips was very good against Chicago. They might not show up on the stat sheet. Bradley Chubb might not show up on the stat sheet, but I thought both of them were generating pressure. Justin Fields is just an extremely good athlete and got away from it. There's not really a whole lot you could do. There's not a lot of breaking down and chopping steps you could do when a guy who runs a 4.3 decides he wants to run away from you. You know what I mean?
No, I'm with you there. I'm with you 100% on that one. And listen, I think he's done an overall great job because you can't replace Brandon Jones. You're playing with your 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th corners. Because obviously True Williams was your 4, Needham was your 3, and Jones is your 2. And they're all gone. You know what I mean? And by the way,
forgot about Mackenzie Alexander as well. I didn't know he was there for 3 days.
Yeah, but he didn't show me anything. I don't know anything about him. With Trill, at least, I saw him from last year, and then this year he was actually developing into something. Which, by the way, this front office to find Needham, Trill, and Kohu off the street, and let's see what Veron McKinley does, because they obviously every time they like one of these cats and they hang on to them, the Robert Jones, the Trill Williams, the Nick Needhams. I'm intrigued with Tanner Connor. I'm intrigued with Veron McKinley. I want to find out because they must like something about these guys, you know. And you think about this. So Byron Jones is not holding out, is injured and dealing with that. Noah hasn't come through, but man, you find Kohu, you find Needham, you find Trill, you find Robert Jones off the street, another guy you kept last year. You kept developing him, and we'll see how he plays. He's done all right. Yeah, it's one of these things that sometimes you're gonna run into roadblocks with some of your draft picks or injuries or whatever, and you've got to find a way to unearth talent somewhere else. And for them to find on street free agency, look at the Shell kid who's done a terrific job overall off the street at right
Mm-hmm.
tackle. You know, all these kind of things, man. That's the stuff that fans cannot overlook, that kind of work from the front office.
No, they can't. I think he deserves. Again, I think Chris Greer deserves his credit. Josh Boyer deserves his credit. McDaniel deserves credit for putting him in position to succeed. It's just been, again, it has been a vastly improved coaching staff here over the past year, and I think we're seeing a team with a purpose. And I don't think we really saw a team with a purpose last year, a team with an identity, I should say, not necessarily purpose. We're seeing a team with an identity right now. And it's fun, man. Look, if nothing else, Dolphins are damn fun to watch. I watched every single snap last year, just like y'all did. Every single snap last year. And sometimes they took the field, and I'm watching like this from the press box. Like, I'm watching disgusting offense. I'm watching a bend but don't break defense with an offense that can't keep up. Watching a team where
times I had to hire an intern to go into the press box and throw a cold glass of water in Marcel's face just to keep him awake last year during his coverage.
These were I look on I do Time Hop, right, every day, and
what's that?
It's like a Time Hop where you can you connect your Facebook and your Twitter and you know, photos, like your phone's photo albums. And it shows you, like, on this day last year, 2 years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
I got you.
And so the other day, the damn Houston game came up from last year. The Tyrod versus Jacoby game came up. And it just reminded me, like, damn, we really had to watch that. That was the worst game. 9 turnovers that game, if y'all remember. Because I forgot. I put it out of my system. Like, I didn't even rewatch the tape. Man, like 9 combined turnovers that game. And now we're watching an offense where Tyreek Hill might take it to the house anytime he touches the ball, where Tua's letting the thing fly at will, where, you know, they trust their quarterback to stretch the field, and he's not afraid to. So I think, like, it's just it is a philosophically different team than the one that we saw in 2021 and in 2020. Man, I saw y'all from afar. In 20, I saw from afar in 19. Ugly teams that were relying on Ryan Fitzpatrick having a Ryan Fitzmagic moment. And now
we've had ugly teams for 20 years, my brother. We've had ugly teams for 20 years, man. 20 years. This is the first time. This is why it drives me crazy if any Dolphin fan is complaining about anything going on right now. Considering the shit we've had to deal with for 25 years, even the Jimmy Johnson years. Okay, he destroyed the offense around Marino. He took away his audibles. He took away his pass catching backs. He traded away Irving Fryer. I mean, he weakened that offense completely, and it was boring to watch, you know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar score a bunch of 1-yard touchdowns. That was the offense back in those days. Since the mid-90s, since Marino left, till now, Marcel, it's been brutal. Yeah, a year or two of watching Ricky, a year of watching Lamar Smith, and a year of watching Jay Ajayi. Big shit, dude. So you watch 4 years of running backs. Great. Fantastic. What lights it up is the passing game, and they haven't had a franchise quarterback. And now they got a kid that is just absolutely dealing. For me, any Dolphin fan that's complaining now compared to the shit we've had to deal with for 25 years is out of their minds.
Yeah, it's a fun team to watch, and I can appreciate. Again, you gotta just appreciate that it's a fun team to watch. It's a team that wins, man. It's a team that's accelerated. It's rebuilt. It's kind of covered up its mistakes. You're getting the rare first year coach that's everything living up to the hype, man. Like there's no moments like in Denver and Nathaniel Hackett. There's no head scratching, game losing decisions like that. I think like their 3 losses. Can you really point at Mike McDaniel for any of them and say this is your fault?
No, they hung in there. And by the way, Josh Boyer, the aforementioned coach, his unit did a hell of a job to keep them in those games, in those 3 games, that he gave their offense a chance to actually even win some of those games. So nobody mentions that. You know what I'm saying?
I usually hate playing that game. You know what I mean? I usually hate playing if he was playing, then this, if this, then that. But dude, I don't have a legitimate argument. I don't have a legitimate argument to say that if Tua didn't play if he didn't finish Cincy, if he didn't play in New York, if he didn't play in Minnesota, I don't have a legitimate argument against them winning those games. Maybe just for the rule of odds, or just to be conservative.
8-1. Worst case scenario. If Tua plays all those games,
maybe they win. Maybe
they lose scenario, they're 8-1.
But my God, they beat Minnesota. Minnesota was garbage. I can't believe that they're still 7-1 right now. I can't believe they're 7-1. That was not a good team. I know. It was not a good team.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins.
I mean, Jets as well. Jets, maybe they lose. If they're going to lose any of them, I would say probably that game, just because the defense looks like the real deal. I'm not sure. I'm not saying, definitively one way or another. I'm saying if I had to pick any of those 3 games to lose, then I would guess it might be that Jets game. But still, like like I said, I don't have an argument against it. I don't have like a wholehearted argument that I am not saying through gritted teeth against the Dolphins winning all 3 games without Tua. So
it's ridiculous to argue it, bro. It's ridiculous to argue when you see what's going on every week and how he's lighting them up. It's ridiculous. All right, we wrap it up with this. Dolphins favored by 4. What do you tell the sports investment folks out there? Marcel Louis-Jacques of ESPN.
Oh man, I say usually don't listen to me. I'm a DFS guy. I'm taking Miami. I'm taking Miami at home. Again, what a world that we're living in now, right? What a world that we're living in now, where a level-headed person like myself, a rational, objective person like myself, comes into a game and says, look, if number 1 is playing, more often than not, I'm going to trust that team to win. Right. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to see coming in the season. I said I'm not going to say one way or another if I'm for Tua as the guy or anti-Tua as the guy. All I want to see, this guy has weapons around him now. I want to see him be the reason why Miami wins. I saw it against Baltimore. I saw it against, I saw him ice it against Buffalo. I saw the game-winning drive against Buffalo, despite 30 snaps, 40 snaps, if that.
Very efficient in Buffalo because they didn't get the ball a lot, but they scored when they had it.
This is why, like, again, the points per drive is an important stat. Points per drive and offensive EPA, both of which, when Tua plays, the Dolphins are top 5 in the NFL. Efficiency stats, man, like 2022. But I saw him play perfect when he had to be perfect in Baltimore. I saw him be perfect when he had to be perfect in Detroit. I saw him be perfect when he had to be for at least 3.5 quarters in Chicago. I'm at a point where if Tua throws the ball, I am assuming it is going to be complete. I am assuming he's making a good decision with the ball. So I take Miami until I'm proven otherwise.
There you go. And make sure you tell Poopar, who's coming up in 15 minutes, make sure you see him next time. Tell him that because he thinks there'd be no drop-off pretty much with Teddy Bridgewater. Playing
just drop-off with Teddy.
No, but he thinks that if Teddy's
– I love Teddy, man.
But come on, bro.
I love Teddy, but we were all there all summer, man. We were there all summer. Like, I love Teddy. funny as hell in the locker room. He's a good dude, man.
Right.
But like, with all due respect, it's not. This was never a competition. This is not a, nobody's pushing. He's not pushing him for a job. Tua is the reason why this offense is humming. Tyreek helps a lot. Tyreek helps a ton, man. But respectfully, again, he put up crazy work, and then but the team still lost.
Right.
So he's peppered with targets, pepper with targets, but none of them were pushing the ball downfield like he does with Tua.
Of course, because Tua's at another level, bro. Follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ and catch his work at ESPN and catch him twice a week here. He'll be back on Sunday in our post-game show, as we'll talk about the Dolphins defeating those Browns. And we'll talk to Marcel fresh out of Hard Rock Stadium. Marcel, have a fantastic weekend, my friend. You stay safe.
Appreciate it. Y'all do the same.
You got it. There you go. You now have the edge.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.